multiple places at once. Very weird.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about those.
I'm in like this room hearing you, and I'm floating. It's not really in space,
Mm-hmm.
but my physical body is shaking
Mm-hmm.
as I describe this. And I would describe it more as feeling than seeing with my linear eyes. Mists clearing, but
Mm-hmm.
all those things don't seem to be in the same place, same experience.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so now I get the feeling that things, like if you shake sheets on a bed and the sheet falls down, the layers are kind of the layers are so like phyllo dough, has many layers. It's actually all connected, but so an odd way to describe it, but what I'm referring to is the layers of consciousness within me. And it's the layers of energetic frequencies within me. All complete, all attached, but I'm feeling and seeing and sensing and hearing. Each one has its own structure and almost like it's not right, but like a floor in a building. If a building has each different floor may have different lighting or different size space, or there may be different things you experience or see or hear. So as I'm saying that, I'm getting a sense of, metaphorically, if I'm the building, quite tall, quite large. So part of it is the physical vessel that's me on the couch, but also part of me that's way beyond that, so much wider and broader and taller. And then as I was looking at that, there is the even bigger part of me. So I guess I'm confusing the description that I'm giving, but there's a even bigger floor or even bigger part of me that's not out there, it's inside. It's like an inner space, or an inner floor, or a building like a Matryoshka doll, and a building within a building. I have no idea why I'm describing it as a building.
So would you say it's different levels to you? Would that be another way
Yeah,
of putting it? Okay.
yeah, different levels to me, and there's, I guess maybe the building, because they're each distinct and they're each unique and they're their own spaces. They support, they hold, they um, they have they have the volume capacity for whatever's going on in there, but at the same time they're all connected. Okay, that's interesting. Huh. So I'm not sure how it all fits together, but um, so a building might be, let's say it's a square building, so it might be stacked of different floors up from the ground up. And then if you looked at each floor, it would be however big that square is, and it could have volume to it, volume of energy and frequency, volume of actual linear space, volume of movement for experience. And you see them that way. But so these, which are me, and the layers of me are the exact same thing, but this is kind of confusing. So they are layered one on the other, but they're also layered within inside each of the other. So I'm trying to make sense of what I'm looking at. Um, it's almost what I'm trying to walk to the edge of one of the layers of me, and I perceive that I'm at the edge of the layer, yet I don't, it's not like I touch an edge. But when I have the perceiving of that edge of the layer, I can perceive more of more of me or another floor, but with inside of that layer. So what comes to mind is when I've been researching, space and the idea of space being infinite, and but they're like right now we're the part of space that the planet Earth is traveling through is it's shifting into it's past or past just passing the central sun in that point, and it's moving into another realm, and there's some languaging around um, in order to know your infiniteness and your singularity, you have the perception of boundaries so that it shows you, is, I mean, if everything is just infinite and there's nothing but space, it's hard to get a handle on where you are or so where the one is,
Mm-hmm.
or the all is, and where the singularity is. Whether it's space and time, time, space, or in me. So I don't think I'm translating what I'm getting very well, but in this whole floors in the building, that's what I'm trying to do. So, and maybe too, because if there's an empty floor, it could be anything could be filled up. It could be a place to live. It could be a fountain. It could be you could grow a garden, right? So the layer, isn't that interesting? It's like energetic. Um, it's an energetic astroturf or seed bed or platform um, that can, whatever we scripted, it can support anything in there.
So you can create that.
Yeah, it's having a very hard time describing it. But the different things that I'm seeing as I'm just walking around one of the, I don't know, for lack of a better word, the floor in the building, which is me. This is not I'm not walking around, like a square building in a city. I'm walking around, odd description, but there you go, within the pillar of beingness, the pillar of energy,
Mm-hmm.
the pillar that is the pillar of light that is me. And okay, well that's kind of interesting because some of those layers, I'm not just a being in embodiment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like now I seem, and I'm on a floor that is like wow, it's quite beautiful. It's kind of like hang on, it's weird. So it's like the floor seems to be much bigger than the others, but it's like a vast section of space, and I'm moving through, and the maybe like it's a big nebula cloud or something, and so I'm taking a whole, that's on this floor, and I'm taking the whole tour of that. And if I stop for a moment, stop exploring that
Mm-hmm.
and either say, think or feel, show me, or I guess I'm playing a little, focusing at the floor, the actual floor. And can I look down, drill down with my sight or experience into the next floor?
Can you do that?
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to make sense. So when I do that, I'm in a, well, at first it seemed like I was in maybe the the inside floor, so in inner workings of my physical body, but what I'm actually is the I don't know how to describe, but the inner workings of my etheric body. So it has similar maybe shapes and forms, like, I've got appendages that have shapes and forms,
Mm-hmm.
but um, it again has many layers within that. So there's, and what I'm seeing is more, it's formed, but it's of form, but it's ethereal. So it's, instead of like if I was thinking, okay, well, you got skin on the top and then you dive through there and there's fashion. So what I'm seeing in this is maybe there's, uh, so I can feel like waves and undulation of, I don't want to say movement, but pulsing or frequency, or if you're editing audio, you kind of go close in, you can see the waves of the voice modulation and
Mm-hmm.
so for more of a, instead of lines on something, this is more, I can see it if it's something is various different colors, that's not transparent but more translucent. I don't know how to describe it, but I see it in variations of color that I can move through, that shows me, maybe the way to describe it is a color. Maybe I'm trying to translate seeing with my eyes what I'm hearing from the frequency modulation. I don't have words to describe, but that's the sense of it. So I'm on this floor. I'm walking around this floor, and I don't, for lack of a better word, I don't see any structure, except what I see is different colors and different variations of color, and it's color which is actually sound frequency or waves of frequency. And as I say that and try to relax, into, instead of reaching for that or feeling frustrated, what is, um, the best I can say is it's informing me, and there's there's communication. There's like I want to describe it as a story being imparted. I I couldn't quite relay to you what the story is, but that's what's going on.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
Maybe it's something for you to understand.
And there seems to be something important. Um, the fact that there's all these, I was going to say all these different layers, and then the next thought that comes to mind, but it's not like there's there's a higher, like, the, aren't we always taught, the penthouse? So the top floor is the most important floor. So what I'm shown is not representing in that way. Like the ground floor is just like the service entrance, and the top floor is the fancy stuff. It isn't like that. But it's all related. And maybe the building type floor metaphor is coming through, because not every floor has my arms and legs. So it's all me. It's all the same energy structure, which is me. And it's the same signal, which is me. But it's not in the same, the pattern. Okay, the molecular and frequency pattern that it's coalesced into is not in the same representational structure or pattern.
Mm.
So does that make sense? So on one floor, which is the floor, I guess, that I would equate the most to me in this right here sort of a thing, I can see more detail. I can experience more detail of the surface and the subsurface, like, of the limb structure. But I can do the same thing on some of these other floors. Instead of a finger, there's like I said, where I was a little while ago, the nebula type cloud.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there, so that's part of it. The other thing is that it's very hard to kind of get my head around and describe, but so the floors don't have just stacked, so like there's this, I don't know, big squared rectangle, but the floors go, makes me kind of tired to try to figure. The floors go inside of themselves too. So if you walk up to a building, I'm trying to make sense of this for myself. If I'm on the street and I walk up to a building and I move my eyes from ground level up, I can see that the building takes up space going up, and maybe in it holds a certain amount of surface area, or right, volume of air or space or whatever it is. But what I'm feeling in going in, well, what is a being but a cohesive structure of consciousness
Mm-hmm.
and frequency? So, okay, I guess it's a fair analogy. So in the building, in the structure of me, but there's go back to the street level view, there's also an inside. So it's not inside the building, but very frustrating. There's an inner space. So interesting. I must be using. Feels like I'm frying brain circuits. Trying to use the linear mind. Oh, so well, if you meditate and you go within and you're quiet, and thoughts or feelings or pulses of energy come to you, they're more, oftentimes you could describe them as they're coming from within you. So like doors within you are opening, or
Mm-hmm.
inner spaces within you are opening, or inner galaxies within you are opening. So that same thing in this building that I'm showing me, um, it's the same thing. There's floors that are in. It's okay. It's matter and antimatter. So it's, I guess another way is pre-matter template. So the soup of sourceness on the inside, and then the floors that are more, I don't know, I guess on the outer, it's aspects. No, that's not right. It's, I can't think of the right word, but it's something where those floors are then on a layer of my cohesive structure that is taken a more tangible, coalesced form,
Hmm.
but not just in the way that we think of linear, like, I don't know, I'm solid, or that's a
Mm-hmm.
building, or, um, because this is so weird. I've never experienced. So I'm trying to explain what I'm experiencing, which is weird because I don't quite get it. But so I'm telling myself this in pictures, in mm, waves of colored energy or frequency. Um, if I think in hearing and seeing and sensing, just from a linear person thing, those are channels of information. So I'm getting all those, but I'm getting ones that where they're not completely foreign. In addition to that, they're not completely foreign, but I'm, at least right this moment, not recognizing that I'm as fluent in them.
Hmm.
Almost like if I was, like I'm hearing somebody give me, this is funny, I'm hearing someone give me information or telling a story or describing something in French,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm translating it into English, not realizing that I was that good at French to do it. So on the one hand, it's kind of odd. On the other hand, it's perfectly natural. I don't know why that came in, but that seems.
Hmm.
But with color, with sound, with vibration, with,
So you're translating those, the colors, the energies, the frequencies.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and um, one of the things that was just imparted very clearly is not only is it all data, but it's all relevant data, and it's only my mind's wanting or habit or whatever to discount it
Mm-hmm.
makes it seem like it's irrelevant data. So that's interesting.
Hmm. I was kind of curious if you were to explore the levels and see if there was any vibrations or frequencies that needed to be adjusted or maybe even repaired.
Huh. Well, let me see if I can figure that out. That's kind of
Okay.
interesting. When you said that, I'm going back to the shaking thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's a slight. Well, the first thing I wanted to describe it as, which may not be accurate, is there's a slight out of phase or out of alignment. Now, in my physical body, I have different pinging or little pulls here and there, like if your shirt pulls on something or your skin pulls. Now, if I go to another floor, okay, apparently I'm going in the floor that's like the nebula sort of a thing. And apparently I know to do this, so I'm trying to figure out what it is that I'm doing tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, this is very um so okay, so I think that what I've done is just the very intention of going and tuning in, or like as if I'm standing in the middle of the floor, the floor on this level, this floor. So I'm on the floor, in the floor of whatever this floor is, all those floors. And I'm just kind of having all my, as if I was standing maybe, and I'm doing this, my arms are out and I'm kind of doing a pan or a spin around, but I'm energetically doing that, and with the intention, I'm shifting things. So now part of me is like this. Oh, this is very interesting. So now part of I'm only describing as part of me because the other part of me is fascinating on the couch as I watch or sense that I'm doing this. But I'm moving from floor to floor to floor, and the inner floors too. And I'm joyfully doing this, I guess your words, looking for, tuning in, or is something out of alignment, and the very intention. So I don't necessarily have a toolbox. I don't even know to describe that I know what I'm doing, except that I know exactly what I'm doing simply because it's a conscious intention.
Mm-hmm.
And as I do it, and I'm trying to observe and describe it, um, the each floor, each cohesive structure within the structure. So each level, again, languages, but each level of frequency, or each realm of frequency, is recalibrating, and so I notice changes. It may be in color, it may be in a feel, it may be in just the sensing that something has shifted, even though I may not be able to describe it all. And now I've jumped down to, or jumped into, And now I'm really lightheaded. Into some more of the inner floors, which seem even bigger. And I would describe it because these are more of the potentiality than form, coalescedality.
Mm-hmm.
um, it's hard to take it all in, but that was a very interesting thing that you asked because it set off this whole like finally someone said, "Hey, you asked a good question. What a good idea." But there was such joy in that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny if there's so it's all me, but I'm trying to do it in a kind of recounting or describing thing. But there was such joy in going to the different floors, being the different floors, so letting the different floor take full sway, full awareness, full oh, okay, so and now I'm having interesting things. So in my body when I'm saying this, it's almost like my heart is taking this huge. It's taking my breath away. This huge expansion,
Mm-hmm.
and back to where I was a minute ago. So by joyfully running, it's hard to talk with this funny thing in my heart. By joyfully going from floor to floor and having each floor then be the full measure of attention and intention on, does anything need to be adjusted or kind of like that. It becomes the only floor.
Mm, okay.
And um, but they're not just going to, and yet with the overall intention, because it's almost like you sent me on a mission, right? Can you see here?
Mm-hmm.
And so as and it's a funny way to describe it because it's all me, but anyways, as I went to this one floor to do that or see that or check it out, and everything else ceased to exist except for what was on that floor. And then whatever was happening in carrying out that mission there, and there were some changes, and I can feel changes in my physical body now, kind of in correlation to what I'm talking about. Then I was drawn to another floor, and right now I'm trying to describe it and make sense of it, and of course it's talk about blow your mind, but so now it seems like I am the stars. I'm in the most, for lack of a better way to describe it, the most beautiful section of space think of the most beautiful Hubble image, and that's not only what you're looking at, but that is you, and you know it's you. Yet it's also right over your head in this, which is you. And I don't quite get it all, but there's part of me that is either grounded in Gaia or part that is alive as Gaia. I don't understand that part, but there as a it's well, as above, so below. I'm feeling an energetic representation of what those linear words are meaning. Hmm. Got any other good suggestions?
Mhm.
Because that last one was pretty cool.
It was. One thing, it's definitely showing me the power behind intention. And then also, just in relation to how we are so very much connected to every single thing. Another thing I was curious about, going back to you being able to create levels. I'm wondering if in this space and in this time that you can, if you wanted to, and I feel like you know how to do that, is to create a certain level, something you may need or something that you're drawn to at this time to kind of bring into your awareness, into your consciousness.
Huh. Yeah, because I'm just going to call it the building metaphor, right? Um, I I just noticed that on not all on the same wall, and I'm not sure if that means anything, but if there's all the floors, so not all on this wall and every floor, right here, but on a section of wall on each floor, there's now a viewing screen.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's like a, I don't know what it is, but what's coming to mind, so to say, it's like in Star Trek, and you're on the bridge and you're looking at the big view screen, which you can actually see the space stars that you're in front of. But it can do things. It can receive a message. It can have schematics. It can have. So it's almost like it's communication of whatever possible thing that word or that concept invokes. It can do all of those things. And the next thing that comes is that it's also something about a portal. So it seems to be a direct link to other consciousness cohesive structures. So
Hmm.
that could be other beings, or, well, I think actually I've been shown that a conscious cohesive structure, depending on what floor you're on, is a being, on a couch, or presenting as coalesced as, some other thing, but it's the same column of light. It's the same column of frequency structure. So, but it's interesting because those didn't, well, if they were, they may have been there before, but they weren't obvious before. I couldn't get a sense of the structure. So, and there's one on each floor, which is related to whatever the I don't know how to say it right, but the vibrational sine wave or frequency structure that is on that floor is pulsing out or flowing out or something. And so I guess this is funny. So if the air is thinner because it's more expansive or a higher frequency higher frequency octave, it will vibrate at different things. So it may be faster molecules, so in essence more transparent, or thinner on the density level. And so each of those, I don't know what I'm calling view screens or communication, it's almost like it's a tuner, like it's and it's also a translator, so it can translate out to other cohesive structures, but also bring information in from other cohesive structures, and then it's tying the layers together. So like one layer may be more expansive, more rarefied, more super excited in the molecules, so that they move at a faster speed of light, or I don't quite understand what I'm getting. But so it's more the sense I'm getting is that what you asked me to look at, or what popped in when you asked that, what popped into the floors. So I thought that set the intention on and just watched, just noticed. Okay, well, what does that do? It created one of these in every floor, not always in the same, if we're thinking of a structure, same side or something. But what it's doing is it's now a conduit, an energy equalizing conduit. If you have, like if you do a video, you have to use a special codecs to change the video feed so that it's now compatible with something else you're doing. Like if it's on YouTube or something else, they use, you got to step it down or step it up so that it can be the same frequency. I mean, that's not how it's described, but that's what the base of what I'm trying to get at.
Okay.
And so these things now on all of the floors are doing the same thing, and it works so it can step them up or down so that there is seamless frequency modulation interface between all of them within the quote-unquote building, which is me, or another cohesive structured force, which is another being.
So this would be kind of like an alignment within you, and then possibly an alignment with another.
Yes, it's making, yes. So it's it's an alignment of all, or one, all and one, which
Mhm.
is the same, and each singularity come into that. Um, so each, I'm trying to just think of how to describe it. So each singularity, whatever form that's taking on any floor. So if this floor, whatever this floor is on a couch,
Mhm.
in a solid body, um, the what I want to say is that it removes the floors,
Hmm. Okay.
if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Not only in this way, but similarly working, so it takes two buildings, two singularities, two separate, sovereign, cohesive consciousness structures, right? One, two,
Mhm.
and actually makes it so that they are one, they are the all at the same time. It's the best of both worlds. So you are your source, and you're an aspect of source, and you remember that you're everything and all things and no thing,
Mhm.
and at the exact same moment in a clear, individuated, conscious, I don't know the right words, it's not structure, but I was just going to say knowing, it's not right, but um, you're that individually. So you know your source, and you can do everything that source does, and you know it, yet I'm me in the shirt at the same time, wide awake to that.
Mhm.
Now I don't understand all that, but that's the sense of what it, and that's how expansion goes. So in the looking at that, or playing with that, or I think you phrase it as, well, makes what struck me, or what makes me wonder, or right,
Mhm.
that's an act of creation,
Mhm.
that's an act of expansion.
Very
So
nice.
it's that simple, or that stretch your mind, complex. But the main thing I'm getting right this moment is that all the floors, all the layers are all connected. There is intention that is, it's alive.
Hmm.
What's the word I want? Cognizant and cogent of what's going on as soon as it's recognized as such.
Hmm. Very nice. Well, let's allow that scene to just fade away. Just allowing it all to fade. And just begin to float and travel through time and space. Just being guided to another relevant time or a necessary place. Just freely moving there now. In one, two, three. You are there. What do you see?
I don't really see, I don't make out anything from the seeing. It's almost like not a whiteout from snow, but a fog out, or um, I I'm sensing I'm sensing well, for a moment I was going to say I'm sensing a city, like an urban place, and then as I was trying to get my bearings to that, I moved from maybe if I was on a specific street, I moved to the whole city, and then to sensing all of the United States. Actually, is what I'm feeling now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's this, I don't know, fog out is instead of whiteout conditions. When it's snowing and you can't. There's so much snow you can't tell. You could be driving on the road and you can't see
Mm-hmm.
the white. So it's like that. Um, and it's on purpose. It's not malevolent. Things are still kind of going on, like I can see, make out little bits of lights if there's a street light, or um, lots and lots and lots of beings. It's this um, pause blanket came to mind. It's not, we're not all freeze framed, and we haven't been, you know, frozen like you would still a movie, or frozen in ice, or um, and there's trying to describe the quality of, because I'm watching it and being me, kind of living through it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's it's like I think it's like the 2nd of January. I'm not certain what. It's almost like someone just told me that, but that, or I don't know, I was given that information, but
Mm-hmm.
whether it was because I looked at a foggy newspaper or what, I don't know.
Okay.
Um, and what I'm feeling is that it's something we've called in collectively, to help as a transition.
Hmm.
Like if if there's construction going on, you put like a tarp or something up, so that um, the construction can go, and then you reveal and it's all neatened up or something. So something about this, for the lack of a better way to describe it, this fog is helping with that.
Hmm.
And quelling is the word. Um, quelling of the shifting energy. So the energies or the frequencies, the mindsets, the what's the word? The cognitive streams. It's quelling the up until this moment those streams, and it's a transition phase. It's almost like I don't know, you know, one day changed, and instead of daytime and then nighttime and then you wake up, it's daytime again. It was like frenetic time, and now kind of this fog time, which is it's a softening of the freneticness
Mm-hmm.
and a realigning of that energy. So it's fascinating to kind of I can see, I can travel, I can. So it's almost like I'm remote viewing or travel or what do you call it? Could be teleporting, could be a combination of those things from where I am. So where that is in these surroundings here. But I can check in on, I can so however I'm traveling to different parts of the whole country, to get a read on, to get a sense of what other people are going through. Now it's different beings are different, so I guess it maybe depending on their frame of reference or the aperture of their consciousness prior to this fog rolling in. But there seems to be a more of a that's interesting. So if the the dampening effect of the fog, so the tamping down or quieting or squelching of the frenetic frequency
Mm-hmm.
seems to be enhanced where there's more of the freneticism. So it might, thicker fog may lay down on one being or a group of beings or one area where it has a more frenetic wave structure to.
Hmm.
And then it's still there in other places, but it has maybe it's less of a enveloping, less of a I don't know. If you've ever been in really thick fog, you can
Mm-hmm.
see some area might be a little less thick, a little less dense. You can it's maybe a little more wispy, and then some it really just might swallow a whole car or part of a building or the edge of the water or something. And so it's an I want to say it's a conscious. Sounds funny, but it's a conscious fog. So it's it has a purpose. It's aware of what it's doing, what it's designed to do. It's completely original, organic and original frequency energy. So it's from source. And I keep getting the sense or hearing that it's part of it's to aid in the shift of a transition.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was trying a minute to kind of see if I could walk in a time frame through the fog, and it's not letting me do that. But it doesn't at all feel, well, to me, it doesn't feel scary at all. I don't understand everything about it, but my sense is that, well, that's a clever way to
Mm-hmm.
do it too. And there's still life, there's still activity stuff going on, but it's so it may appear. Well, in some sections, to my eyes, it appears that it's a visual fog, but it may also be a consciousness fog. It may be an awareness
Mm-hmm.
fog. Maybe because of my. Okay, that is not a maybe. So because of my awareness, as the fog came in, I can actually differentiate and notice the fog more, although I'm apparently wasn't far enough on the expansion level because I'm still in the fog,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm more aware of, that there's life, the whole country, and then there's fog enveloping all of it.
So some will be aware.
Yeah,
Okay.
and different levels of awareness, and actually when you said that, drew my attention to there's pockets is the word that comes to mind where, that's interesting. So some who are more aware when they are in resonant proximity to each other, and it doesn't have to all be standing next to each other. It's the kind of triangulating their frequencies, sort of thing. Could be standing right next to each other. Could be, on a Zoom call or phone call, or so in other words, they're intentionally coming into contact with each other and creating a resonant envelope. Then that boosts their each individual signal strength, and so it makes it a less foggy window.
Okay. Well, let's fast forward a bit through time. Just going there now on the count of 3. Fast forwarding. 1, 2, 3. What do you see?
I'm getting it's not quite the right way to describe it, but I was going to say at first an aerial view of the United States, but now I'm getting more of an overview, maybe a combination of a panoramic view, or like I can touch down
Mm-hmm.
in different, like if you look at a big map and you say, well, hey, that town looks, sort of thing. So I can go in and do that, go to different places. I just jumped to New York City, and I just jumped to DC. Um, the fog is gone. It seems like it's very early in the morning. This may be the actual time of day, but I get it. It's more of metaphor is not quite the right word, but it's um, I'm going to use that. So it's metaphorically dawn, in the dawning of what is unfolding. So dawning of the new day, dawning of the new. I'm just going
Mm-hmm.
to do that. The fog is gone, although there's still places to fully burn off. So if you the little pearlescence of the fog is still shimmering a bit, just very, um, and things seem to be things, people, structures seem to be waking up to, like as if it's early dawn. So that this is related to individuals and individual people, groups of people, um, also related. It could be groups of, like, say, in an actual state group, or like the whole state, or um, or like if there's a okay, well, just jump to mind like a group like Congress, or something that's so different activities, different, however you would say a group could be lots of things. It could be a group of people or a structure or something, but it's that same feeling, that same metaphor that it's so it's first light in the new day, and that is not just hey, it's Monday morning and
Mm-hmm.
everything looks good, and it's a sense of waking up, stretching, looking around. So, and some, now this is interesting. I'm not quite flying around, but I don't know. Seems that's almost like if I'm enveloping the whole United States with my consciousness, and if I, like, for some reason I just popped over to South Dakota, just kind of to step in and so there's the sense that I'm getting is that it's not like people are going, wow, what just happened, or like um, everything seems okay or right in the world, a brighter day, if you're thinking about that just from a
Mm-hmm.
personal standpoint. Um, but we haven't, but all of the country hasn't is just getting going. So, like, if you have a scene and you're rolling tape on the scene, um, people are just about to start moving, or someone's sitting at a table and they're having breakfast or something. They're just about to start, picking up their toast or having a
Mm-hmm.
sip of coffee or whatever it is. So it isn't paused. Um, I don't know how to describe it, but it's you know, it's just about to start. Is
Mm-hmm.
the best way. And in this, you know, in the moment of just between where the energy engages, um, I want to say there's two words that come to mind are a final filtration and integration. So I think that's referring to the whatever effect that fog before was having is gone. Now, another strong thing that's just come in is I'm again. It's actually kind of cool. I wouldn't mind keeping this, but um, as I'm looking around to the whole United States or a section of where I'm living, or and it can be and it's depending on where my intention. This says, well, look over there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's also a sense of burgeoning. So maybe not everyone is thinking like actually I'm thinking, well, hey, it's here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but it's maybe not understood, maybe completely unknown, maybe like what is going on, but the overarching feeling, even if kind of you're in the category of what just happened or what's going on, is um, that you're welcome. Each being is welcoming this, even if they may not have any I want to say linear idea of what this is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I keep thinking about how you said just being in, standing beside someone is the. Let me try to explain this. If one is more aware and senses this fog, and maybe it helps them shift in some way or helps them become even more aware, and then that person is standing beside someone who maybe is not so aware of what's happening. Does that somehow in a way, have they carried that fog, that creation of that shift, that energy within that to the next person?
Yeah, and it's yes, and the so what I'm getting when you were, it's almost like when you ask that, you're shining a light on the, maybe it's the makeup of the fog too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a transmitting of a transmitting, or the other word that comes in is again filtration of the fog. And so um, okay, so the person who is there standing next to somebody else, so it's
Mm-hmm.
heavy fog on one person and not so much on the other, because they have a sense of it, they're joyful, they even though they didn't see this coming, they get what the fog is, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that, they shift the fog around themselves. So they may make the cloud deck. I'm mixing metaphors, but if I'm going to raise the cloud deck so it's not quite so low, like a pilot can't fly between the certain. So they're raising the fog a little around themselves, but they're also, by the very act of them being there next to someone else who's got thick cotton ball fog around them, um, they're transmitting
Mm-hmm.
codes, or they're also imparting packets of information that, if the being who's in that fog has well, everybody's connected and actually knows what's going on. They just may not have any idea on a, linear.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're not completely, in a disconnected sort of a fog, the transmitting of this, let's me, to someone else and it's their choice, this fog enveloped person's choice. They can't completely lift it. I don't think so, but because that's too fast a gap, but they can make the choice. So yeah, it's almost like, well, how does fog lift, in atmospherics? It has to do with a shift in the temperature. It has to do with a shift in the air molecule frequency, right? Because so the people are doing that same kind of thing. So they're pockets of energy that are coming in that are shifting that.
Oh.
And what's interesting, I just saw right now. So I was able to see a group of people on I don't know, I guess it could have been Zoom or some kind of telecommunications, but it has not just audio, but so Zoom is a good example. And so they're doing that within there. The fog is dissipating or changing or lifting, we'll say, around each one of them from whatever. It could have already been lifted pretty far, and it's more. But as they're in the different places that they are positioned around, because this one I saw was in the U.S. It enhances each signal. So say there's 6 people in the meeting, right, or in the hanging out on the call. That the 6 coming together enhances each of their signal strength. So then you can see, if you're looking at an overview of that, you can see how that actually widens the circle of transmission. So, there's been a lot, probably definitely in the last 6 months anyways, about this is the time to come together. This is the time to make those connections with other beings that are resonant. This is the time for however you want to describe it, light workers or truthers or something, to kind of to come into groupings. And I think a lot of people thought it all had to be in person. That's good, but this is doing the same kind of thing because there's something about when those fields come into a merged coherence sync, they're syncing up. It amplifies wherever that being may be, all around the map of the United States, and spreads that pool out. So it's a fog lifting pool. It's like a power pack. Each person is a power pack that then some other fog-laden person can tap into to boost their signal strength to raise the fog.
That's what I was kind of feeling, some sort of amplification of the energy, a little boost there. Oh, very interesting.
It's power fog puffs.
Yeah. All right, let's allow that to fade. And once again, begin to travel and float to any necessary place, any necessary time. Just allowing yourself to flow there now. Being guided to exactly where you need to go. And 3, 2, begin seeing the images. And 1.
It's a beautiful night, and I'm trying to make out. Um, I don't think I could name where I am because I don't think I don't think I've been here very long. So obviously, it's in the future a bit from here, but not that much.
Mm-hmm.
And you know one way I describe it is the stars are different. I'm not making out. I'm in a campground. I'm not making out any noticeable landmarks like landscape structure, or rocks, but um, what I'm noticing is first excitement that, and I don't know the full answer to the question or thought or supposition, but that I'm forward in my
Mm-hmm.
timeline, and I'm on the road and I'm in a different place. But what I'm picking up mostly is that there's something very different in the energies. There's something very different in it's just between, I'm not sure how you describe it, but it's not dawn yet, and it's it hasn't finished being full on dark where you can see the stars. So it's right in that in between, where almost like where it's dark and then it rolls to
Mm-hmm.
light. So it's right in that cusp. That's an interesting thing of dark to light. But what I'm struck by how it's so very different. So let's see if we can. So everything feels very different. I don't make anybody out. There's no one standing right next to me. There's buildings around. There's people sleeping around because of the time of day it is. But the energy frequency that they're emitting, because oftentimes I can pick up, even if I don't isolate them, I can pick up thoughts or kind of the vibe of the different people who are kind of creating. That's very different. The words that come to mind to describe it is it's much freer and um, fuller. So maybe I think that's relating to fuller in the life force.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing that I notice. Um, and then I guess I'm liking this habit of just setting my intention to go someplace else in the country and poofo to be there. But
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to check in on a couple of other set of sense. So this isn't just where I am, but I've kind of uh, gone to different places. Actually, I went back to Washington, down to Seattle, and a couple of other places just popped in. I don't even know. A couple of them were just random. There's a fairly good sized city, but not a giant city. But it's the same feeling there. There might be slight um, differences, slight variances, but with some being more on that feeling or some being a little bit less, but it's almost like, if there was a giant brush fire over the entire United States, the air is clearing, the sky is clearing, visibility is clearing.
Hmm.
And some areas have more. I was just using it as an example. Some areas are clear, totally clear, and some are almost getting there.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing that's very noticeable, even though it's because even though if it's dark out as far as the light in the sky, it's you can still make out shapes and stuff. So it's maybe the difference between just a regular TV and HD TV. So everything is crisper
Mm-hmm.
and more alive is what I want to keep saying, and heightened. So there must be a body of water near this camera because the breeze, little bit of breeze off the water, and it smells fresh and great. But it's almost like if you have essential oils, the difference in grades of essential oils will have a cleaner, truer scent or aroma of whatever that you know oil is, like lavender or something like that, depending
Mm-hmm.
on the grade. And so all the scents that I'm picking up just where I'm standing, um, huh, they're just higher. They're they're pure. You know, I was gonna say essential oils, but eternal essence was the word that came.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. So that's what I'm really getting is um, the location of the show is important and is imparting a lot of information to me, but it isn't the most important reason why I'm standing where I'm standing. It's this feeling of um, it's the feeling of what's changed, what's striking about the different places that's and the similarity of that strikingness.
Hmm. I keep hearing
Like,
rejuvenation.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. How far into the future do you feel that this is? Do you have a sense of your age?
Um, uh, well, I don't. Maybe a full year from now, maybe a little.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah, I don't think it's. Um, I don't think I'm markedly older,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm smart is not the right. That was kind of the snarky word that came to mind. But I'm more. I'm markedly more knowing, if that makes sense. So my more conscious, I guess, would be another word. More connected, more aware.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but no, I don't get a sense it is certainly isn't years, and I think it feels more like around maybe 10 months to maybe a year or a little,
Okay.
kind of right around there.
Is there anything else that comes into your awareness about this time?
Yeah, I was going to say, tools seem to be similar but different. So I guess I could also take that to describe that it's not only, maybe like a hand tool, but also technology tools or just like if you have systems on a house or something like that, they're similar, but they're different. Um, they're more advanced, or maybe a couple of years. Sometimes the things there's a big improvement or a big change in the way something looks or um, provides whatever task it is you wanted it to do. And so on a whole, from something as simple as a kind of a saw or something like that, or something that's digital or electronic or um, mechanical sort of thing. Those are all, I don't know, maybe the phrase is next generation, so maybe it's 2 times or 2.5 times next generation of all those things. So if you thought about taking a road trip, even if it's just a local road trip, and you're driving at maybe 3 hours, and you get gas, you do different things, and so there's a certain way each of those things that you come into contact with operates. And so for this to give more context and explanation, shh, shh. Okay, well that just flew that right out of my head. Okay, stop.
Anything else you're noticing about this time?
Say that again.
Is there anything else you're noticing about this time?
Um, well, the word that came to me when you asked it is we're on the we seem to be on another cusp. So right on the cusp of um, another big change. Another, big change or rollout, or there's another phrase that flowed right in when you asked that.
Shift.
Yeah, shift or reveal. Sort of thing. So
Is this something that you can just feel? You can feel it?
yeah, you can feel it, you can sense it, and it's almost like actually some of this is, well, at least in my being, is anticipated, so it's not a um, total surprise, like some new fangled thing showed up, but well, that's interesting. So as I'm trying to feel into that a little bit more, it's I get the sense that it's a rollout in new ways that uh, huh, I don't understand, or maybe I don't know, or I'm not supposed to know the details, but it's new rollout in participatory ways. So I got the sense of, like, on community, on a local community level, or in region level. So that could, I think it has to do with I don't want to say politics, but around, um, kind of community infrastructure or something, like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a rollout of that. So interactions or exchanges that has to do with how things function vis-a-vis people communicating or working together, or on the bigger scale, instead
Mm-hmm.
of just going to, like, I want to go to this park or go to this amusement or go to this movie theater. It's not that so much, but it's more, um, again, politics is not at all coming to mind, but it may be, whatever the next iterations of that is, sort of a sense of that. It has to do with community, um, uh, things that are coordinated, things that are, um, working together.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I think about that. But it's so so that's a planned thing that I get sense that everybody knew about, but some, like myself, are much more know more about it, or certainly have, been anticipating it. And it's interesting when I say that. To me, there's a very strong, echoes the word that comes to mind, but it may not be the right way to describe it. That has to do with, um, echo in as much as I'm reaching back in, um, time, or, um, realms or something, and what was there, or I could say there, have, however I want to point. It's coming here now. So if, well, like a council of something comes to mind. So it's that's part of the familiarity and the anticipatory part of it, because it's whatever that form is coming here, is rolling out here now. So it's in this setting, where I am and what I'm taking in. It's new,
Mm-hmm.
yet you could say it's very old, or very familiar, or tried and true, or however you want to. It's kind of all those things, you know. And for some who don't have that vantage, that, perspective vantage, um, it's just it's a rollout of a new thing, the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the overall vibe of kind of the areas that I'm tuning into is, um, it's just a good what's next start, new start.
Okay. New way of being.
Yes, and there's, it's funny, the phrase, we're all in this together, and we're in this together, we're building it together, even if we don't, um, it's not meant that we all particularly know each other. Like, if you're in a big city, you may not know everybody in the city, but there's a sense of camaraderie and pulling together in a community. And, even if it's somebody you just met, and, hey, how's it going? It's actually it's a delightful feeling and vibration, and something I felt, um, a couple of different times, in this lifetime on this planet. But Not very often and not a very prevalent sort of a thing, but it seems to be an all over sort of a pervasive feeling right now, which that in itself to me is very cool.
Mm-hmm. Sure sounds like it. Connectiveness is what I'm feeling with the energy.
Say that again.
Connectiveness with the
Yeah,
energy. That's what I'm feeling.
yeah.
Okay. So let's just allow that to fade. And at this time, I would like to ask permission for the higher self to step forward. Just calling in the higher self. Do I have permission to ask questions on BZ's behalf?
Yes.
Thank you very much. In all of the things you could have shown her tonight, why did you choose to show her these scenes?
It's a coherence of being and energy and uh, being a part of all of it.
Can you tell me a little bit more about how she was describing herself as the building and her levels of consciousness within that building?
Well, part of it is we're fighting with the words and description, but it's
Mm-hmm.
again it's connection.
Mm-hmm.
So um, a common way for people to hold something is that um, there may be like a levels of something, but something that's higher is better,
Mm-hmm.
or perhaps not really connected. That one thing doesn't relate to or uh, go with or intertwine with something else.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ways to show her that, maybe that's why her brain came up with the building. We didn't
Mm-hmm.
think of that,
Okay.
but seeing she's seeing the correlation between her intention and her noticing and her stepping into a connection of something or
Mm-hmm.
some things, and they facilitate or impact or interact with those components. She's the one who does it.
Hmm. I was very curious about this scene while she was going through it. I kept being pulled to ask her if she needed to go through those levels and repair or um, tune something up in there. I was wondering if this is a way that she could actually tune up her physical body, and whether it be in meditation or, just going in her own private way to tune into this, to tune into these levels of consciousness. Would that be an easy way for her to do so?
Yes, in a fun way,
Mm.
because in the different places she was exploring on those floors that she was describing, and it is all her, and so it releases the limitations
Hmm.
of what is possible for her or what she's already doing or could do, depending on how she's holding that perspective of it.
Hmm.
And that there are she's wanting me to say the word ramifications, but that's not a frequency we hold it. So um, there are reflections of something on, as she calls it, one floor into another floor, that if you change one, realign one, clean up maybe a distortion or um, a flow of the consciousness structure in one, it has a rippling effect on all of them.
Mm-hmm.
It is not separate.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a very good thing to do.
Okay. Could this also be another way that she could create her own reality in a way of maybe even playing with the law of attraction, being able to create levels within herself?
Yeah, she played with it a little tonight when you asked, and
Okay,
those those communication portals she described.
very good. Okay. One thing she was wanting to kind of touch on is how to get better in tune with signs that she could, have a better understanding or a better knowing, kind of tune in more into those that she's heading in the right direction. Is there any guidance you can give her on that?
Trust
Mm-hmm.
and don't filter mm, the yeah but filters. So she'll look at something and say, well, I see that, but
Mm-hmm.
so see that, let go of the but, trust, and then what comes in that next flash of insight.
Mm-hmm. Now, does this have anything to do with you showing her the future where she was in the scene where everything felt anew? Everything felt a little bit different for her there.
Yes, for her, this is occurring even right now when
Mm,
things seem to be not new or new enough to her liking. But it's also what's occurring for everyone, and they'll each have a different perception of that based on where the consciousness level is with someone, or what they've allowed themselves to have a feel for or actual seeing and knowing of.
mm-hmm,
But it's the field of the field of the energies, and each being's coherence with that expanding field. It is an ever expanding field, and it's accelerating in its expansion. So that is changing for every, and it's a choosing. It says, we talked about a minute ago, the trust, not standing in the way, not thwarting, but to have a, a relaxing of the reflexive walls or separation.
mm-hmm,
uh, Hold, release that, or at least loosen the grip on that,
mm-hmm.
and that will help.
Very good. Could you provide a little more clarity about the fog? Is there anything else that she needs to know about that scene?
It's an important transition for everyone, and it's a what she was describing, what she was seeing as she moved through it. She was seeing and experiencing a literal and figurative experience or model of what will unfold.
Hmm. I was also curious. She had started that scene saying that we had called in the fog collectively. I was wondering if that's goes along the lines of like light workers, energy workers, etc. That we're kind of calling in that energy to be amplified to help others become more aware.
Yeah, the collective is all that have an open heart, all that have the intention
Mm-hmm.
and have focused in various ways according to themselves their attention on bringing that forward. They use different languaging to describe that.
Mm-hmm.
And they may put them in different categories or factions or thought process, but it's quite a large force right this moment that is expanding every moment, and it's a collective decision a mechanism. Again, it's literal and figurative mechanism to smooth the transition.
Hmm.
So many beings are connected, yet they don't know that they're connected. And
Mm-hmm.
so many beings have held tightly to the distortions of their energy, of their light, that it will be a difficult transition for them. Yet it's the time for that transition. So
Hmm.
the collective felt this was a good way to bring this forward.
Hmm. Very good. Let's see. So my curiosity is getting the best of me about this. Now, if it's in BZ's highest good, if you can answer this question, I feel like I've been guided by her spirit team a good bit today before the session actually began. Does she have a relationship with them and tuning in to their signs, their guidance, that sort of thing?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything that you would like for her to know about that?
Work more in balance and take more time for herself. Not in any particular practice or focus, but in moments where there is no focus or practice, there is no planned anything. It's just in that moment to take the moment.
Hmm.
And that will open up those clarity on those conversations she's already having, some fully aware of, some tangentially aware of, and much delight in the revealing of the old, she might call it old friendships, old deep, deep, deep ancient connections.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows it's not missing, but she knows there's a feeling that it's missing or she's blocking or it's constricted. And it's because of the it's because of what she has chosen or allowed or traveled down a bit too far in a path,
Mm-hmm.
which gave her a great expansion on another range of abilities. And her feeling that she's missing something or she misses something, even if she doesn't name and able to name it. This will help her with that.
Okay.
So it's not doing something more or in addition to, it's actually doing less
Hmm.
and subtracting from.
Okay.
Put her in the best place.
Hmm. Thank you for that. I also wanted to ask about the scene where she was in the building experiencing that, and she was physically experiencing the heart expansion. Could you tell me what that was?
It's the alignment of all of the, as Ashiko was calling them, floors. So all of the layers of her, all of the matching frequency neighborhoods of
Hmm.
her.
Okay. So we came into this session with just the intention of to let the energy flow, to bring her more clarity, direct knowing, connection, what's next in the way things are flowing. Is there anything that you would like her to know? Any wisdom that you want to provide for her tonight?
If she's open and will allow, she will have big streams coming in 5 different rays over the next 11 days.
Okay. And when you say 5 different rays, what do you mean on that?
There are streams, there are frequency streams of a color and array as an array of light.
Mm-hmm.
And they will bring her information and discourse on specific focuses of abilities and awakening and tools for her missions, for her desires in following her soul's path.
Very good. And she will recognize these frequencies and rays that are coming in.
She won't be able to miss them.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you for that, and thank you for stepping forward and giving her the clarity that she needs. All right, BZ, we're going to bring your light body back into your physical body now.